Hey there YouTube, it's Hex again. I am back with another video. I'm going to try to stay on task today. Uh, Today I'm going to talk about some different botanicals and their properties and kind of how to think outside of the box when you are trying to acquire specific ingredients. Chris and I have been working on sourcing some particular ingredients. We're working on quite a few different oils for the shop, and it's things that we make ourselves, but at a bottle at a time. But in order for us to keep them in the shop, we need to source ingredients that we can have sustainably. So to make multiple batches over the course of a year or whatever the case is, before we have to source more ingredients. And we did for a few ingredients, so we'll have some new oils coming to the shop. Sorry, guys. But I wanted to talk about some botanicals. Here we have. These are my notes so that I stay on task, guys. So just kind of ignore this old spiral bound notebook. Here we have petals of different lilies. We have some pink and purple stargazer lilies, and some white stargazer lilies here that are almost completely dry or dried. And we acquired a lot of these botanicals because, unfortunately, Chris had a family friend whose grandfather passed away and he attended the service. Well, they were from out of town and they weren't able to take the beautiful bouquets home because they were flying. And it was not cost effective for them. So they gave it to Chris because they trust him and knew that he would respectfully care for them for the other few days or whatever. And then they gave him the go-ahead to use the botanicals however he feels like it once we start to dry them. So here we have lilies. Lilies are, and now not only is it the petals, but we also have some of the stamens with the pollen on there. Be careful, as stargazer lilies are considered relatively toxic to humans, so you wouldn't want to ingest anything from them. And make sure that once you are done handling them that you wash your hands. That's just a side note. You'd want to do that with all botanicals really for the most part, because some of them may or may not be toxic, or you may have allergies to them, whatever the case is. So just be mindful of that, guys, when you're handling any kind of plant material. Lilies a lot of times are used in a lot of bouquets for like devotion, or in bouquets for after death by a lot of florists. So I think, check your local floral shops for deals on stuff that might be going like out of season, or things that might be maybe that they've had in stock for too long. That's a good way to acquire botanicals. But also, if you're attending funerals, ask to maybe take some bouquets home, which it sounds crazy and that's like the least of a lot of people's concerns, but that is a huge concern after everything is done, is trying to dispose of a lot of the flowers and stuff that people send. But lilies are quite often used in, like I said, humility or devotion work, and I particularly use them for after death rituals. So when people pass away, it's kind of used to bring peace to their death. So I use it in a sense of like doing sendings or sympathy rituals where I'm sending my good thoughts and prayers out that the soul may find peace. You can also use them, depending on the color, for devotion or humility work. So like the purple and pink and lavender stargazer lilies, they're actually going in a devotion oil. The devotion oil is used to devote yourself to something or someone, or to compel them to do that to you. Yeah, so really basic. The easiest way that we find to just dry botanicals is if you have a dehydrator, you can use them, but just be careful because dehydrators do get quite hot. It can warp a lot of the color or even the scent on some of the flowers. So just be mindful of that. Sorry guys, I actually forgot this was in here and I wanted to show you. So let me grab this. This is the next thing to talk about. But yeah, that's lilies. So then we have, this is a type of fern. It's commonly used in like the bouquets as a filler, to kind of create bulk and width and just like a pretty foliage for a lot of bouquets. So a lot of florists will keep stock of these as well. This particular kind that is in this bouquet, there's many different kinds of fern, but this one is called leatherleaf. Leatherleaf, it gets its name because when it's not dried, they have like a wax coating almost on them naturally on the leaves, and it looks and feels like leather when you rub your fingers on it. So that's why it's called leatherleaf, and it's actually quite a strong fern. Like the actual leaves themselves, they're quite hard to tear when they are alive and not dried. Um, Leatherleaf is a lot of the times used for strength, or okay, I shouldn't say a lot of the times used for. In the language of flowers, it has different meanings, but how I choose to use them and how I was taught to use these particular botanicals, and what's in my recipes that I've created, I use it for strength, or for fascination work. So fascination work is something, kind of like a glamour, if you ever heard of glamour work. But it's to make you appear more fascinating to someone or to intrigue someone's interest. So the texture of these are used in florists use them to create an interesting texture and fullness to a bouquet. So it's essentially doing the same thing to people's perception of you. So this will be going in a particular oil. We have quite a bit of this. I just pulled a little piece off to kind of show you what it looks like. Ferns are also known to be used in a lot of South American traditions or Central American traditions. And I'm sure many others across the world, but this is how I have come to know of it, to cleanse. So you'll make a cleansing bath or herbal water of some kind, and a lot of the times the ferns are bundled while they're alive and they're dipped into the water, and then you brush the body down with the fern towards the floor to remove negative entities, things of that nature. So that's one way that I've heard of ferns being used as well. Should you want to use it for that, that's entirely up to you. I have these for that specific purpose, though, of fascination and strength work. I'm gonna go ahead and stand up, guys. Our kitchen. But I wanted to show you something that we have sourced here. Let me actually step back. If you follow us on Instagram, you have seen this already. We actually have some botanicals drying in our kitchen right now. There's part of our workstation, but all of these botanicals are hanging in our house and drying. So this guy here is called Bells of Ireland, and they actually grow in stalks and in small clusters, and they have bell-shaped flowers that actually look like leaves that are kind of wrapped into themselves, but they also have stamens in them, so they're considered a flower. And they have some little spiny thorn bits, as you can see there, underneath of each of the bundles. Bells of Ireland are quite beautiful, one, and two, they have a beautiful kind of chartreuse green color. So Bells of Ireland are known to be used for luck, or at least a family member of mine has told me that she grew them herself and would use them for luck workings. And the reason being is not only the color, but the shape of the flower was believed in the old days to funnel luck into something. So it's actually like a chalice in a sense, where you're filling the chalice with luck and it's holding that for you. So a lot of the times I will be using these in a particular formula that has to do with luck and prosperity. So stay tuned for that. I will talk more about that when the time comes, but that is Bells of Ireland. A lot of times florists will use these to add just different texture and height, as well as color to a lot of the bouquets. And this was actually a background foliage that Chris was going to throw away, and when I turned around and saw them, I like to have a heart attack because in my region, I live in Southern California, so our region has a lot of trouble growing certain botanicals because it's so dry and hot a majority of the year. Excuse me. But yeah, so I wanted to share that with you, that's something to look out for as well. If you can get your hands on that, it's a great one to have. We have 3 stalks of it, which will last us quite a while. Eventually, I'd like to try to grow my own. I want to put up a greenhouse so that I can grow different things throughout the year that are not normally able to be grown in my region. The next one I want to show you guys, and this is in a lot of bouquets as well. They're actually yellow here now, but they were white before. These are called stock flowers, otherwise known as gilliflowers. A lot of the times these are used to promote a happy life or for a contented and comfortable existence. So if you have strife in the home, or you just want to ensure that you have a happy life, gilliflower is what you need. This is also going to be going in an oil for happy homework. We have a formula for that that I've had forever, but I have not been able to really source the flower. The problem with sourcing some of these flowers is they're commonly used because they're imported in from other regions by florists, but florists charge an arm and a leg. However, I have found a flower market where I live. Actually, not where I live. It's about an hour and a half away, but they will give me a wholesale price because I'm a shop owner. So I'm going to be able to have access to more flowers until I'm able to set up my yard to grow my own. But gilliflower is, yeah, it's used for like happy homework or to promote a happy life and just to make your existence more comfortable. It's a very comforting flower. When they're pretty much dry now, but when they were starting to dry, you guys, they smelled incredible. They weren't like a sweet floral smell, but it just had that beautiful plant-like scent that was very light and just, it smelled like spring. So it made our whole kitchen smell like that, and it was beautiful. So I can understand why workers have used them like that forever. These are not necessarily traditional hoodoo herbs and flowers. These are just things that I myself have used in my own practice and that were taught to me by people who have used them in their practice. So these are probably not going to be found in a lot of other people's formulas. They're specific to the way that I practice, and that's totally what magic is all about and why I practice the way that I do. The next thing I want to show you guys, and I'm going to go ahead and sit down after this and show you like up close what they look like. This is actually called, I can never say it right, Astromeras, otherwise known as Peru lilies or lily of the Incas. And they look like mini stargazer lilies. They're native to the Peru and Chilean area of South America. Let me show you here. But here's some petals and stamens that have dried and just fallen off, and we're just collecting them. This is actually something really disgusting, but we're saving it for a particular work we have to do for a client. That right there, that is a maggot casing. So this is actually maggots came out of that, apparently. Chris found it, and it's going to be used for some domination and destruction work. But anyways, Peru lilies are known for friendship and devotional work. So again, florists a lot of the times use them in bouquets to represent the friendship that people had. So this bouquet particularly came from a friend of the family who was not able to attend the funeral, but provided the lilies in the bouquet that way to represent their friendship and their devotion to each other. So it has a lot of meaning and power behind it. They're quite beautiful. They literally look like mini stargazer lilies. So this would be something too to kind of look into if you're looking for anything to help with a friendship or for any kind of devotional works. This will actually be going in a particular formula that we have not released or talked about yet. It's in my grimoire, and it's been there for many years now. Probably like 10 years ago is when I was taught the formula, and I've made small bottles myself when I've been able to attain the ingredients, but now this is the only ingredient we were missing, and I am now able to provide that in a larger format. So depending on how much I'm able to make of this oil will be going in the shop, and it will be an oil for reconciliation, for friendship, and certain relationships. Not necessarily in terms of relationships of love, but reconciliation between maybe family or a friend that has, departed your life and you would like to rekindle, whatever the case is. So that's what this oil is going to be about. And then behind me here, which I'm not going to show you because they're not completely set up to be shown, they're just kind of sprawled out, drying this way, is Gladiolus. Gladioluses are known for infatuation, passion, strength, and moral integrity. So you can kind of use like them for many different purposes depending on the color. If you're not sure which color to use, you can always use white. White is representative of all colors in magic, so that's something to kind of keep in mind when you're looking at colors of flowers. Is what color they are will determine the facet that it can fall under for its influence in that particular area. It's the name is derived from the word gladius, which means sword. So they actually grow in a stalk, much like the bells of Ireland, with that come to a point. So they're known to be very piercing. So typically, that's why it's used a lot of the times for strength or in passion and infatuation work, because it's actually piercing the defenses of the targets, much like a sword, and creating an opening and a much stronger effect out of what work you're trying to do. And then after that, we have snapdragons drying as well. These were white snapdragons. Let's see. Snapdragons have two different uses depending on how you choose to charge them. They can be used in deception work. So I actually use snapdragons in a particular oil that we have not released in the shop yet either, but we are working on it. Just getting enough ingredients to be able to do multiple small batches so that we can keep it in the shop for a longer period of time. I actually have one batch brewing right now that's going to probably go up another week or so once it's done kind of setting. And snapdragons, I use it for deception. So it's a backhanded oil, this particular formula. So you can use it in works that are a little more passive aggressive, or to kind of camouflage what your true intentions are. And then if you want to use it in works of graciousness, so meaning works that you want to show your true intent and how serious you are about something in a gracious manner, or to add a gracious energy to something. So a lot of people will use snapdragons in their garden near their luck herbs so that they can get gracious luck. Meaning that it's a softer energy. You're not going to, get a $25,000 check in the mail because you were in a car accident. It's more like you're going to have a steady flow of luck that way in a softer, more unified manner. So I think it's important. If you guys want to know more about like how a lot of botanicals are used, I highly recommend looking into the language of flowers. It's actually a book, but it's based on the Victorian like floral language, and the reason why people pick certain flowers for certain things during different times, because they have different meanings. And if you've researched especially into like conjure work, that's a lot of the times how we decide to use certain ingredients is based on not only how they interact together, but also how the like plant looks or smells, or its medicinal effects also can mimic sometimes in its magical effects, or vice versa. So yeah, we have roses here as well. Obviously, roses are for love, power, luck, friendship, devotion. Roses have many different purposes. But yeah, so I'm going to start rambling now because I've kind of gone through all my notes, I think, with you. If you guys have any questions about any particular like botanicals, or you want us to talk more about stuff like this, please let us know in the comments below. Also, quick side note, if you guys have stayed with us this far into the video, I know it's a 20-minute video and I apologize. Chris and I have also had our schedules open up a little bit, enough to where I'm thinking of offering oracle readings in the shop. And they will be scheduled. So obviously when you book a reading, I will contact you to set up a time with me to do the oracle reading. And it can either be via email or like a Google Hangout or something like that. I haven't worked quite the details out yet. Most likely to start with email, with a full report that way on a specific day that I'm able to do. But yeah, if that's something that you guys would be interested in, as well as us providing oracle readings in the shop, please let us know. We would love to start doing something like that as well. If there's more videos you guys want to see and there's a particular subject that you guys feel like I haven't covered, Or if you would like to see us actually show you guys how to use certain like oils or products, and kind of talk a little more in depth about them and how they work, please let us know. Visit the website at www.themysteriousspirit.com. Check it out. If you guys have questions, reach out to us, and we will put some videos out for that. We want to provide more content, but right now we're kind of struggling with like what content to put out, because there's so much happening like in the witchy world and so many shops now, and it's, you know, the struggle is real with that. So we want to provide you guys with like really good content that you guys find helpful. We want it to really be a place for you to learn and to have a better understanding of the craft and what we do. So yeah, definitely let us know in the comments below. And until next time, I will talk to all of you soon. Blessed be.